Well, he's called Google employee number 59, literally the 59th person hired at the internet giant, and he has just authored a book about the company called I'm Feeling Lucky. Doug Edwards joins us this morning to discuss what Google co-founder Larry Page needs to do to re-energize Google. Doug, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I just want to, just in case viewers are curious, just to let them know what your title was before when you were at Google. You're the former director of consumer marketing and brand management at the company, and you actually directly worked under Larry Page when you were there. What was it like to work for him?
Well, Larry's a very interesting guy. He's very nice in person, but he's very much focused on efficiency and on getting things done as quickly as possible. So he doesn't like to waste a lot of time. And when you're in meetings with him, you'll notice that he sometimes counts the number of people in the room so that he can determine whether there's redundancy there and whether all those people need to be there. Or if you're talking to him one-on-one sometimes, and if you're going on a little bit too long, he'll start counting the seconds of the conversation out loud.
Wow. Okay. So so let's say you're redundant in a meeting. Do you get kicked out?
You might take the hint that it's a good time to go do something else.
Okay, to go get a Coke or something. Doug, then what kind of CEO, or do you think he'll be a different kind of CEO this time around? Do you expect any changes?
Well, you know, I think Larry's probably mellowed a little bit since the last time he was CEO. About a month before Eric started as CEO in 2001, Larry did a reorganization of the engineering department, and that did not go very smoothly. He was not happy with the project management role that was in place at that time. We had a group of project managers who were not themselves engineers, and they were overseeing the engineering staff. And Larry felt that they were buffering a little bit too much. He wanted more direct control. So he called a meeting of all the engineering staff, and he let the project managers know at that time that he really didn't want their function to exist anymore. And that was the first they'd heard about it in a very public meeting, and there was a lot of pushback from the engineers themselves. So I think...
Why did they push back?
Well, they liked working with the project managers, partly because they sheltered them from Larry and Sergey, who would sometimes give them demands that would take them away from what they felt they should be working on.
Ah, I see. Did Larry eventually get rid of these project managers?
They were moved into another group ultimately, but I think he took a lesson from that, and I think he's been watching Eric for 10 years, and I think Eric is a much smoother administrator, much smoother manager. So Larry's a very sharp guy. I think he's probably picked up some tips from having seen how Eric operates.
Is he a good manager, would you say? Is he going to be able to manage 24,000 people and innovate at the same time?
Well, I don't think there's any question that he can innovate. I mean, Larry is really, truly a visionary. I mean, I've had conversations with him that really opened my eyes to where he wanted to take the company. I mean, he's very far-reaching in his planning for Google. And the question is the management piece. But I think that he has some good people around him. I think he has people who will help keep him grounded. At the time that I was at the company, those people were Urs Holsel, who was the head of engineering at that time and is still at the company, and Salar Kamangar, who's now head of YouTube, is somebody that I think Larry trusts a lot and has a very good business instinct.
But Doug, you know, time and time again over the last, last year or so, we've heard about Google talent walking away from the company. How does Larry Page stop that from happening? Why is Google talent walking away?
Well, I think if you look at the numbers, there are actually surprisingly few people who have walked away. But, you know, I mean, in a company the size...
Some high-profile people have walked away.
Well, there's certainly a lot of opportunity in the Valley. I mean, there's always going to be some incentive to go off and start something new. I mean, the people who are doing that are often the people that you want to keep the most, the people who have an entrepreneurial spirit that you want to keep in the company. And I think Larry is going to have to try to foster more of that. And I think he's already started doing that. I think he's going to cut out some of the multitude of projects that are not really core to Google's mission as he sees it. And I think this story about him requesting every project manager or product manager send him a 60-word memo about what they're working on is an indication of that.
But Doug, does he have the same type of persona that, let's say, a Steve Jobs does within his own company, that engenders a type of loyalty, a brand almost? I mean, does he have that yet?
Well, I don't think he has the same kind of persona as Steve Jobs, but in Google's case, I think that's actually a good thing. When I was at the company, people would challenge Larry. I mean, you had to support your arguments with data. You had to be very confident in your opinions, but Larry was interested in what other people had to say. And I don't know Steve Jobs, but I certainly get the impression he has a vision and you don't really question it that much. With Larry, he wants people to push back. He wants people to do that if they support their arguments with data. He doesn't just want kind of random feedback,
right,
but he likes to take things as far as they can go.
Doug, thank you. Great insight into working at Google.